the defuse. Where is Miracles? Oh, Miracles!
I did it! He's gonna go for the toss! He did it!
Oh, we'll win!
Oh my God!
So I came up with this idea to make this particular video. A couple days ago, I was making this video. I was thinking about a couple different things. Normally, whenever I think of an idea, I'm doing something random, or I'm working on something, maybe working on a graphic that I'm trying to have for a certain video and stuff like that. And I was kind of making a video, and I was like, you know what? I just automatically saw that this topic, is it worth it to still try to go pro in Call of Duty esports? And I actually was thinking about this. I was like, you know, I wonder if this has been a video that's been made already. Like, I wonder if anyone's really been talking about this at all. And I actually went to Reddit, and funny enough, because I really didn't get the idea from Reddit, there was actually a Reddit post that had happened maybe a few hours ago asking the exact same thing, and I hadn't been on Reddit that day. So normally I get my topics from like Reddit, or I get them, you know, from things that obviously happen in the community, but today it kind of matches itself, but I just want to kind of bring that up because I get rid of my ideas to make certain videos and stuff like that. So this wasn't originally off of the Reddit post. I just wanted to kind of talk about it today because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of amateur players who are out there right now, maybe even some semi-pros who have, you know, kind of, you know, had their edge in the competitive scene where they placed, you know, like, you know, a top placing at a certain tournament, and they're still kind of considering, is it really worth it to still try and be a pro player when it comes down to Call of Duty esports? So to me, we're to be taking this from a realistic point of view. You know, someone who previously, and like Ghost, where I tried to be a competitive player, which, you know, did not end out very, very well. You see where I'm at now. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's a realistic thing where you have to look back and say, you know what, is all the hours that I'm putting in right now to the amount of times that I'm scrimming, the amount of times I'm trying to build up and be a better player. And in some ways, it's like a business. Whenever you're an amateur player, it's a business type of move that you have to make because you're constantly trying to get to the next level. That's what pros constantly talk about, is they say, you know, when you're on a team, your whole goal is to try and be the best that you can be and move up, make it up the rankings until you can start playing with pro players, start scrimming against them, at least going to events where you can start to impress them to where you start to get in eights, where you start to play them in tournaments, and then they realize that, hey, this guy's a top competitor. And there's not that many people that happen throughout the year. Of course, I think Advanced Warfare was a perfect example of why it is still an opportunity for you to be a pro out there. Because players like Hook, you know, Temp, TJ, Octane, there was a number of different guys who have made their name throughout Advanced Warfare. Those were some of the top guys. I mean, there were still a lot more who have kind of entered into the competitive scene, maybe haven't reached that next level yet, but got a name for themselves back in Advanced Warfare. I say back, it was like last year, but still, you get my point, right? So like I said, today I'm going to be giving you guys a realistic point of view, whether you're a player, whether you just want to kind of like, you know, reach into the topic. Of course, you know, the comment section down below is obviously a very, it's almost like it's kind of like a conversation itself. So if you guys have any topics or any things that you've kind of experienced being an amateur player or being someone who wants to be in the competitive scene, a competitive player, feel free to obviously comment stuff down below and try to maybe even give some tips to each other if you guys have obviously been in the same situation that maybe someone else could be right now. So I'm going to have 3 points today that I'm going to be talking about: requirements, state of the community, and also a new title. Stuff that I'm going to be talking about today. Not really going to be super long of a video, but I just kind of want to go over certain things and just be realistic with you guys, because I'll be straight up. You know, if it's something that if I think, you know, it's a good idea to maybe even take this path or to not take this path, you know, I'll be completely honest with you guys. So, first thing, of course, is there's going to have to be certain requirements, right? If you are on, you know, a different console, if you're on the Xbox One, get off of it, because right now it's all on PS4, because you're not really hurting yourself, because we've obviously seen because we ended up seeing a really good period where we saw players switch from the Xbox to a PlayStation console, and nothing really changed. Like, there wasn't like a massive dramatic change where, oh, these guys are on the top anymore. It wasn't like an Optic Gaming was #1 in the world and now they're number, you know, 9. You get my point, right? There wasn't any dramatic change that happened from us switching consoles. But still, if you are an amateur player right now, if you're not a pro player, it is the best idea to try and be, you know, among these requirements, right? It's good to be in the 18 plus range, 18 years or older, because of course you can compete in LAN tournaments, you can compete in the Call of Duty World League, and I'm not saying whatever level that you're on right now, I'm not saying if you're under the age of 18, just don't even worry about it, don't even try. I'm just saying if you're trying to get to that next level to start competing at a number of different events, you really need to make sure that you're close to the 18 years of age limit, because realistically, it's going to be really difficult for you to try and boost up your skills, but once you get to that top level, no one's going to be able to play with you because, of course, you're underage. Now, there are exceptions, of course. You know, Hook went over and started playing Halo. There are different esports opportunities that if you're talented enough that maybe your overall FPS skill can translate into something else. Like players like Nifty, who was obviously a young player back in Black Ops 2, translated over into CSGO, plays for, I believe, Selfless or something like that, and he's obviously a top player when it comes down to that game. Like, so we have Hook, who's a more recent example, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably know about, translated over to Halo. I believe he currently plays for the E6 team, I think. Am I correct on that? I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. I know he played for Denial previously, but, you know, he's obviously had a great career so far in a different esport. So if you are close to the 18-year range, if you have a PlayStation 4, you have, you kind of get the point, right? You have like a SCUF, you have all this stuff. If you have the basic requirements, you're in a good spot. You're already a level ahead of a lot of people who want to be in your position because you are set up for success. You basically have all of the limitations or all of the level 1 stuff that every pro has to have to be where they're at. Now, the next point I want to make is the state of the community, right? Because a healthy community obviously means that amateur players can flow through, players who are getting older start to retire, so it makes a little bit of a cycle, right? It makes a little bit of a cycle. So players who are kind of getting started obviously make it to the first step, the second step, the third step, and then, obviously comes retirement. You reach a certain age where you're just not really invested in wanting to play as much because the game may be a little bit stale. Of course, players are going to reach their limit, right? I mean, that's why we've seen so many players start to retire this year because they love the Black Ops title. They wanted to go out in a Black Ops title. Maybe it wasn't exactly what they were expecting. The jetpack movement isn't there for everyone, especially players who've been playing on the ground for all of their life. And so that's why we've seen the departure of a lot of guys so far this year. Merc, TP, Replays, to name a few. And of course, I know there's been a lot more. You can even name a couple guys from the European scene, guys like Gunchi as well. So there's a lot of people who have slowly but surely kind of made that transition out, meaning that there are a lot of spots, a lot of opportunities to where it's not like we're so full of players that there's not going to be any opportunity for anyone to kind of be here. So right now, I said the community, it's not at its best, right? It's not at its best. It's not like the Call of Duty is, growing in viewership. We're not reaching 200,000, 300,000 viewership. We're not consistently growing because of the amount of LAN events that we've had this year. I think we're only going to have like 6 major events so far in Black Ops 3. I say so far, but in the entire year, which obviously isn't the best, right? It's not like the best state of the community. But of course, with the Call of Duty World League coming in, which is a great thing, it's kind of limited events at times. The whole controller issue with playing on LAN, the Bluetooth problem has obviously been a major problem that has existed, which means that a lot of LAN tournaments, a lot of providers don't want to host events because of that. So the community isn't the best. The state of the community isn't the best right now, but I don't think it's necessarily a reason that we caused on it. It's just the fact of the switches that we've had and the amount of updates that we're trying to make to the community, which is currently having on a little bit of a back burner. It's not really, the state of the community is obviously very important. I don't think it's anything to be worried about right now if you are a competitive player or trying to be in a pro player's position. I don't think really it's anything to be worried about for right now. But of course, there is a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of teams who are looking for players. I know a lot of smaller organizations who have found players. Whether you're an S&D player, whether you're a Respawn player, if you play UMGs, GBs, whatever it may be. The whole thing is obviously that you're practicing a lot and that you're trying to get better is obviously the main key. With a lot of players kind of stepping back, maybe even a couple World League spots open, there are a lot of opportunities once events start to come back up again, which I'm sure they will. I know they will. Once those start to come up, that's when you can start to make a little bit of your mark. So honestly, it's not like, oh, should I prepare for what is nothing? It's like, no, I think honestly, you should prepare for what is to come later on and just trust that that's going to happen like it always does. So my last point that I want to make is obviously the fact of a new title coming up. Of course, we do have Infinite Warfare right around the corner. When it comes down to a new title, everyone kind of starts off on that level 1 position. Now, granted, whenever I start playing Infinite Warfare, am I the exact same level of Scump? Obviously not. Because why? Because Scump's a freak, and he's also one of the best players in the world, no matter what FPS that he's playing at, especially console FPSs. In Call of Duty, they have a feel. They all have a similar feel, right? All of them have a similar touch to them. That's why pro players are consistently on top year after year after year, and it's pretty consistent, is because it still has that same Call of Duty feel that we all love and still what drives us to play the game today. But when it comes down to an amateur point of view, where the skill level isn't necessarily as big as it is when it comes down to pro level status, meaning from amateur to pro rather than amateur to amateur, that's when you can start to make your name as far as the title is concerned. By grinding at the game as soon as it comes out. Infinite Warfare, make that your game. Maybe even take a couple months. I don't know if this is possible for you, or if you have like work, if work's a little bit easier for you, if you're going to school or something like that, and you really want to be a pro player, you're on that next level, right? I'm not telling you to stop going to school. I'm not telling you to take off of work. I'm just saying if you have time to invest into that title, do it at the beginning of the game. That's when you can start to show off. That's when you can start to make a little bit of runs when it comes down to teams. I would continue to play Black Ops 3, but really be focusing when it comes down to Infinite Warfare. Now, of course, you obviously have to like the title, you have to like playing the game, but that's when you can start to get a little bit of an edge on your competition, is by how much you play it when the game comes out. Because everyone's going to be playing the crap out of it once the game starts to come out. But toward, that very beginning, the first couple of weeks, maybe the first couple of months, is when you need to start making your run, when you start to maybe even start to kind of edge out in the competition. That's whenever players start to get noticed. If you notice back in Advanced Warfare, maybe even a little bit of Black Ops 3, but mostly through Advanced Warfare, because that's when a lot of pro players, or amateur players that became pros started to get a little bit more noticed, is that not necessarily the very beginning of the game, but one of those first couple of events where they just absolutely shine. They brought a team through the amateur, They brought a team through the open bracket, made it into pool play, beat some teams, or maybe even showed up in the open bracket, maybe even beat some top, maybe even pro level, but amateur pro teams at the same time. Not only the pro scene, pretty stable when it comes down to it. The amateur scene, though, that can get pretty shaken up at times. There's been times where top amateur players have been, these guys, like you can name off a couple titles, a couple players for each title who have been known as amateurs, the top amateur players for that title, and the next year they start to fall off. And then the year after that, and they kind of rise up. It's almost like a graph that's like, if you're trying to reach that pro level status, it's going to be a lot easier to do it in the beginning of a title rather through the middle, toward the middle end, and toward the very end, because it's almost like not even worth trying if you're at the very, very end. Like there's only like 1 month left. It's like, you know what? I still want to play the game, obviously, to get myself loose and ready for the next title, but generally it's not like I should be trying to find team after team after team for Black Ops 3 because, it's not really worth doing it. So obviously I named off a number of different things. It's kind of just like your decision personally if you want to become a pro player, if you're trying to become a pro player. Is it worth it? Yes, the money is there. Trust me, the money is there when it comes down to it. Teams, tournaments, prize pools are consistently growing at a rapid pace. You've even seen, top 4 open bracket teams, they start to make a little bit of money. So you're not wasting money to go to an event. You're making money if you're at that top level, but you've got to consistently be, surrounding yourself with top players. And that means you maybe even leaving guys that you like playing with, leaving guys that you have friendships with to try and make it to the next level. Not telling you to cut people's throats and stuff like that, but it's a cutthroat world out there. And if you don't do it, maybe your teammate will do it to you because he realizes that he's in a similar position to where you could be. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for today. I just wanted to kind of bring up this topic. It's a good topic to bring up. I think it's kind of interesting to mention, and it was a cool idea that I kind of thought of that I wanted to address to you guys. And of course, if you have any video ideas, maybe even any suggestions to pro players or to players that that are amateurs, maybe you're an amateur pro player yourself or want to be a pro player, something along those lines. If you're a player in general, Black Ops 3, feel free to comment down below if you have any suggestions, any tips, anything that you'd like to give to someone. If you try to be a pro player but just found something else, you just kind of lost interest, and you want to give someone else some tips, feel free to do that down in the comments. We continue this conversation down there. And yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Feel free to give me some feedback on the video, whether you liked it, you didn't like it, anything that you'd like to see improved. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Is it still worth it to try and go pro? It is, in my opinion. Like I said, the money is there. If you put enough work and heart and dedication into it, you'll make it, I promise you. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys all later. Have a fantastic day, and until next time, peace out.